Hi there, this is Prakash. Welcome to my channel. Hope you're doing good. So in the last video, we talked about fate line and some of its misconceptions. Today, we'll be discussing no fate line, that is absence of fate line, and some misconceptions, some wrong beliefs around it. So do you think no fate line means no life direction, no success, no money, and failed life? Well, no fate line means there's no psychological burden. So, and you can be all of that which I just said beforehand. No fate line doesn't mean failed life, it means there's no fixed script of life. No fate line doesn't mean there's no responsibility, it means responsibility without mental burden, psychological imprisonment. You're not imprisoned or bound to do something. No fate line doesn't mean there is fixed structure or identity. It means the identity is fluid, it is flexible. It's like if fate line means railroad, railway track, then no fate line means open road. Some of the most adaptive, risk-taking, self-made personalities do not have fate line. So yes, so if you are having no fate line, then congrats. You can be a millionaire, a billionaire, you can be a big businessman, you can be a sports athlete, you can be Olympic gold medalist or any other medal. You can be a politician, minister, chief minister, presidents, prime ministers. So some of these big roles, personalities, they do not have fate line. So yeah, you can be one of them if you have that. So let's discuss no fate line in brief. There'll be 4 broad points, and starting with first, no structural identity. What does it mean? They do not define themselves by long-term path or any identity. They are not identifying themselves with long-term responsibility. They live situationally, they live episodically. So for them, life is a chapter, not a long novel. Okay, for them, life is a trailer, not the whole movie, because they just live in that moment. That's why there's no structural identity. So if you ask a shopkeeper who is working for 8 years, is this your life path? Then they'll ask, no, this is just work, I don't know what happens next. So next point, organic flow acceptance. So role acceptance, which is unconscious, natural, non-analytical, non-structured. So the person lives naturally without emphasizing or over-analyzing their role or responsibilities. They do not frame life as some grand scheme of which they are central character. Life is very simple, normal, natural for them. They are just doing what the life law wants them or expects them to be, and which is very normal. So it's not something which is coming in from their mind, or they are not actively involved in managing or structuring it and giving some weight. So the next part is no psychological weight. So life is, the work is not experienced as a burden, as some destiny, or they are not conceptualized as heavy structure. It's normal to them. For example, even if they work 12 hours a day, if you ask them, is this a burden? They say, no, that's work, that's fine. It happens sometimes. They do not internalize the things. That is a core idea. They do not internalize, they do not think of it mentally or internally. So that is no psychological weight given to the work or responsibility. And the last point is no identity binding to a role. So the role is fluid, the identity is fluid, so as the role. It is not, they don't tie themselves to any particular duty or responsibility. They do not have mental projection of a long-term path, long-term responsibility. For example, person starts marketing job at the age of 22, then he starts photography at the age of 27, then he moves to abroad to do some work at the age of 32, and then he again comes back home country to start business, and then he, let's say, opens some shop. So you see, the identity is very fluid. It is not fixed. The person doesn't define himself by any particular role. So this is the meaning of no identity attached to a role. So let's discuss about some examples. Okay, so before that, I would like to clear, we are not moralizing anyone here. We are just talking about the structure, the palm structure, and how the lived experiences are. Starting with beggar. So a beggar with no fate line, well, he lives in a day-to-day survival mode. There is no future arc planning. There is no 10-year-old self-concept. There is no alternate concept. There is no alternate identity concept. They're not building something, but they don't see themselves as doing something in the future. They're actually on the constant lookout for getting themselves out of this mess or this situation. So for them, the life is episodic and not a long-term thing. And as the opportunity arrives, they may actually grab it and move out of this situation. So this is beggar with no fate line. Although I would like to state that beggar without fate line would be less in numbers. They are not in great numbers statistically. Okay, talking about another example, let's say housewives. So again, I'm not moralizing. I'm not saying what is wrong or right. I'm just stating what is observed and what is experienced, and through the lens of Palmistry. So a housewife with no fate line, well, she doesn't see the life as any kind of structure. She doesn't internalize the situations. She doesn't see as a long-term duty, structure, or mission of her life. It is just normal for her. Life is very organic and natural to them. There's nothing too serious about it, or they don't think very seriously. It doesn't mean they are not doing their work, doesn't mean they are not performing their duties. They are performing, but on top of that, they're not building another layer of structure or identity building. That is the differentiation. Let's talk about some other example. Let's say a corporate employee. This is my life, this is my structure, this is what I am, and this is what I'll be for the next 10, 20, 30 years. This is what a fate line employee will say. And an employee without fate line will say, this is not my identity. Definitely this is not I'll be doing for the next 10 years, something like that. I'm here just to do it for the time being, as long as I feel okay or I need it, that's why. But they will try to move out, change. So that is no fate line employee. For him, that role is not identity driven. Identity is not attached to that role, that I am so and so, I am sales manager, I am some IT professional, let's say. They won't say like this. They'll say, for now I'm doing this, I don't know about future, I may be doing something else. So this is what no fate line is. Essentially what fate line is, there is a path, there is a direction, there is a continuity in life. You feel responsible to that role. You think long term, you plan ahead, you stick to things. That is fate line. And with no fate line, it simply means life is open. You move phase to phases. You adapt easily. You don't over plan life, and you're not binding yourself to any particular episode or identity. Anyway, that episode and identity is also very short term. So, and you don't feel responsible, overly responsible for that role or that phase or life pattern. For you, the life is normal and it changes, life goes on. It's just like that. You don't feel the urge to control and make it a very heavy structure. As simple as that. That is the difference of fate line and no fate line. Hope you got it. And the very cliched example, let's say fate line means a job, a designated job, a work. You are working under someone. With no fate line, you have to first of all create your own work. You have to create your own setup. Let's say you want to do some business, open a shop, a restaurant, or any kind of business. uh, in shop, offline, online, anything. So for that, you are doing everything. You're planning, executing, running, maintaining, you're managing everything, all the aspects. That is no fate line. You're basically your own boss. So with fate line, you are under some other bosses. There is some boss on you. Without fate line, when there is no fate line, you are your own boss and you are on your own. And that is the story of no fate line. So hope this makes it clear. So yes, no fate line, do not worry about it, because you can be much greater than anybody else. So yeah, hope you like this video. Thanks for watching my video and having the patience to listen to me. Let me know what else you would like to know and would want to know. And yes, I'm always there. You can give your suggestions, comments, anything. So that's it for today, and see you in the next video. Bye.